Hey, fun fans, coming up on this week of FRC Round Up, we'll be taking a look at the first in Texas District Championship and discussing the 3310 Finals 3 red card, the district power ranking system from a thread on Chief Delphi, and the triple traversal situation and if it's going to be needed to be crowned a world champion. All of this and more coming up on Season 1, Episode 6 of FRC Roundup.
Your destination for first content, updates, and gaming.
Welcome to the fun.
First Updates Now is supported by Stryker Careers. If you're a college student or recent graduate looking for an incredible internship, take a look at Stryker. Stryker provides a housing stipend, great pay, and an opportunity to work with state-of-the-art medical technology equipment. Discover why so many First alumni are coming to Stryker for their internship or career at careers.stryker.com.
All right, welcome to episode 6. If you have not caught our show previously, this is a new show that will continue to be following FRC Recap on Monday nights, and we'll take a look at the overall previous week and highlight some discussion points about events, strategy, or really anything that may have correlated with the previous week. If you, the fun community, think that there is a topic we should discuss on FRC Roundup, please feel free to ping me on the Fun Discord, and I'll be more than happy to take a look at it. If you are not familiar with me, my name is Nick Mathis, and I'm currently in the First Michigan region and previously was with Team 4130.
And I am Connor McBride, mentor for Team 166 Chop Shop and game announcer in the New England District. Our guest tonight is Michael Ray, drive coach of Team 6800 Valor in First in Texas District. Michael is an alumni of Team 27 Rush from Michigan and has been doing great things down south. Big congratulations to Michael and his team for taking home the First in Texas District Championship this past weekend. Michael, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I will say in advance, I apologize if my voice goes out halfway through. I'm still absolutely losing my voice from this past weekend. So, yeah, apologize in advance. But
no worries. You deserve it. So,
it was a fun week.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and jump right into it. First topic tonight's going to be a kind of overviewing what happened in First in Texas. We'll have a brief discussion about Michael and your division and kind of your overall thoughts, and then I do want to highlight what happened over in the other division with the 3310 624 red card issue. But Michael, we'll kind of throw it to you. Just overview of what happened over the weekend and anything especially you want to highlight. We'll go from there.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, first of all, it was a great event. It was held in the convention center where Worlds is going to be in 2 weeks. So that was kind of cool just because all the teams that got to compete already got a taste of what it's like to go to Worlds. And especially for a lot of these students who haven't been to Worlds before, even on teams that has actually made it, they now got the chance to actually go into the convention center, practice load in. I mean, just everything that you're going to need to know when you get to the convention center in 2 weeks. And so, yeah, we had a dry run of that, which is great. The event went very smoothly. We had back-to-back matches from each division. So that was pretty cool too. Because I mean, even from a drive team perspective, we got to watch matches from teams that we didn't get to see just while we're waiting for our own matches to come up. I mean, yeah, good overall event. There were some stands issues, but like the First in Texas volunteers are already talking about it in the Slack channels and stuff. So they're really receptive to feedback, which is awesome. So things have already started going there. I mean, incredible division play. We got to see some strategies played out that like hadn't really happened yet, especially with all of the there's a thread on Chief right now about what the new meta is, and like I think it's different than what most people think, and the both divisions proved that this week with just the variety of different types of play that was tried out. I mean, 118 went out with the double defense strategy going into quarterfinals. So we saw a team actually try and play that out. We had triple offense played out. We had the 2 offense, 1 defense, which is what our alliance elected to go for. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. There's some great robots on the field. Right now on your screens, you had 4206. I mean, huge shout out to them. We got to play with them in our last qualification match and scored 172. It was 168 without penalties, which, yeah, 60 cargo in the upper hub. We couldn't have done it without 4206. They're one of the better scoring robots there. Yeah, it was a lot. It was such a fun match. Before that match started, we had said, like, you know, we're going to go out and try and score as many as we can. And so, yeah, super, super fun play. You had 246A out there punching. They were way above their weight class. They did so well. then you got like, the traditional 148s, 118s. Just, yeah, very, very cool stuff.
Yeah, so I guess quick question for you, and I mentioned this in the preview that I did of Apollo, I believe was the division you were in. And I mentioned going into the you guys have had a great year, you as in 6800, and taking a look at what has happened with 118, 148 over the previous years. But like and you can say because you're a humble person, but like I 100% like think like 6800 has inserted themselves into the Texas powerhouse list after this weekend. And yeah, and even pushing world powerhouse at this point. The robot itself, it speaks for itself. The behind the bumpers that Tyler did with your guys' team, your kids are super humble, know what they're talking about, super respective from what I've heard, and just an overall great show. But Connor, anything to add?
No, you just kind of hit it everything right there. Like, no, 6800, you're fantastic. I know I haven't heard much of 6800 up until the season, and it's just being able to watch you guys compete has just been fantastic. Seeing you guys just come up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
and
I really appreciate it, guys. It's not just me. Obviously, there's tons
oh,
of
for
mentors
sure.
behind the scenes that are doing it. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of our mentors have come from previous FRC teams, and I think that's actually the key. Is you have strong mentors from previous teams that are putting in the time and effort that we're putting in. You're going to get good results, and so the kids, they obviously see that. They want to work hard. They want to. I mean, they were back in the shop for the last 4 hours, just immediately back to work because they're just as excited as the mentors. They really, really, I mean, they saw what they could do at Texas State. So they're looking for worlds at this point and trying to be among those top teams.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. So I guess one last question on and then we'll kind of move to the 3310 topic. But I know you guys kind of took, you did take the first seed relatively early, and never really looked back after that. Was there any thoughts? And if you don't want to share the tea, don't be my guest. But was there any thoughts about not picking 148 and looking at another team, or did you guys have your eyes on 148 kind of throughout the day, Thursday and Friday, or just talk us a little bit through that?
Yeah, so I mean, 148 has been one of the, if not the best team in the world for a while, or one of the top. And you really do not want to play 148. They're a scary team to play against, and
Mhm.
so that was kind of our thought the entire time was like, who do you not want to play? And the answer to that almost the entire time was 148. They had their struggles a little bit early on. I mean, they had climber issues, which they had fixed. I mean, we had been asking about it because we were curious as well. So they had some one of their matches when they fell, they had a driver error, which he was very, he's like, okay, got it. Lesson learned. I think their robot clipped the edge of the hangar when they were climbing one time. It torqued the
Mhm.
robot sideways and they fell. So just like little tiny things that we weren't really concerned about. So and their averages, like our scouting data showed that 148 was very much the top of the line for the robots that were available. So yeah, we weren't super like once we saw the data come out, definitely by the numbers, 148 was the pick. I will say though, I mean, 2468, 4206, like these other teams, they did put in a show. They threw some numbers up there that was made us look twice. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, I'm so happy when we went with 148. We had a great time. Also, black robots, so that was
Yeah,
kind
all
of
black
fun.
everything Vivi. So I guess
Yeah.
one thing that we haven't even mentioned yet, the infamous writing of 148. I know that we kind of talked about this pre-show a little bit, but why don't you kind of run us through what in the hell happened with that and the talk behind the wall? Because I know you said you could hardly hear anything. I'm sure the place erupted, but just kind of walk us through that a little bit, and then we'll move on after that.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest experience I've ever had in FRC. I told the kids they didn't really understand the grand scheme of it. They're like, "Oh, that was cool, but and I was like, like
Let's move on. Yep.
330 in 2016 did this, everyone blew up. Like this is not a normal situation that you guys get to do. Like it's a very hard task to pull off, but it honestly was random and kind of lucky. So 148's drive coach Grant had like yelled at me earlier, like, "Oh, we're down, we tipped over." So in the back of my head, I was like, "Okay, they're down. We got to keep playing." But their operator said he was very good with his communication. Honestly, their operator was like, "I'm going to try using the lift." And so I heard him say that. And so when my driver went to the left side of the field to start playing the left side, and I saw their robot move. Like their robot made a very. It's going to show in a second. Once they moved the lift in, you could see it wiggling. You knew it wasn't really game over for them. They had the opportunity if the operator did the right thing and he executed it flawlessly to get the robot into a position where it was almost up. My driver saw the exact same thing, and my driver and I were on the same page. As soon as I saw the wiggle, I yelled, "Flip him!" And my driver was already in process. Like, he didn't really need to hear me
That's
say it
so
because he was
awesome.
already on his
Awesome.
way over there. And yeah, just lucky that they were still moving their lift while we were pushing into the robot, and it flipped them right back up. So,
That is
um,
so
and
awesome.
it's really cool looking in the clip too, because they flipped back up and they had a ball in their robot from when they
Pew
flipped before.
pew.
Yeah, they immediately went right up and just right back to business.
So
Because that's another
cool.
thing too, is like when your robot goes down for the count, like your driver and your operator have to stay like in tune with the game. Like, we could have flipped them back up and then they were toast, but their driver and operator were so on point that they just knew exactly that as soon as they were up and online, it was right back. They hit like 6 to 8 cargo after they got back up and then drove and climbed for traversal. So we would have lost the match without that.
For sure.
Yeah. So, like, was there any damage that you guys got from flipping them back over, or any damage that 148 might have gotten, or if you can
I think
talk about that at all, or?
Yeah, I think both robots ended up with some damage, unfortunately. The climber arm for them spun into some of our lift wiring. So if you look, we couldn't pull our lift down at the end of that match. And I think there was some shooter issues as well, since it's all in the same CAN bus.
Hmm.
We did get some shots off. So I wasn't in I had to interview new students for next year's team today. But I think my mentors and students addressed that there were some small things, but really, I mean, it was totally worth it. I would do it 100 times over
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
again. But yeah, small wiring damage. That's about it.
Awesome. Okay, well, real quick, I just want to highlight your thoughts on the 3310 situation and losing, the finals to a red card when they tipped over 624. For the guests that, if you haven't chance seen it yet, 3310 is coming around the field. They're in the middle station, and 624 is already starting to tip. And 624 kind of lands on 3310's bumper. And when they come around the corner, I have a friend from 3310, and he said that their driver couldn't really see it. And by the time he saw it, 624 was already on the ground. And unfortunately, did get a red card for that match, losing that finals three match. So, Michael, just real quick, kind of your overall thoughts on the situation, and we'll move on to the next topic after that.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, you definitely know 3310 did not mean to do any of it on purpose. Like,
For sure.
anyone that
Yeah.
disagrees, talk to somebody else, because there is no way that anyone on 3310 would have wanted that to happen.
Mhm.
And so it's just kind of, it's unfortunate, honestly. And I think 3310 definitely didn't initiate the contact. Whether or not they finished it, that's up in the air. Again, unintentionally for sure.
Mhm.
You cannot see anything behind the hub when you're in the driver's
No,
station.
you cannot.
No.
It's just, that's why there's so many balls back there, because when you're driving, you have no idea they're back there, and the only way you really can tell is if like your human player or opposing human player, the screen tells you. So they had no idea. Now I think I was thinking about this on my way home today. I think there's a really easy solution for a lot of this, and it's all regarding like match replay. So if 624 and Spectrum were given the option to replay the match, I'm almost positive they would have
Oh,
accepted. Like,
100%.
no one wants to win a match where, like, by red card or anything.
Yep.
And so I think the solution, or a possible solution, is for when a red card is involved in elimination matches, to offer the opposing alliance a replay. In 99% of the cases, I think you're going to take it. Like, yeah, Spectrum and Kryptonite would want to play a fair match, and so they would have just said, okay, let's redo the match, because you don't know what happens after 624 tips over. I mean, there's just so many unknowns, and so if you replay
Yeah,
the
too
match,
many
it's all
variables.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think this actually solves to another set of issues too. Like, we had a red card against us in finals 2 of Austin from G204, or whatever the reaching inside frame perimeter thing. I think the same scenario would have been fixed by a match replay if our opposing alliance, after they got disabled due to incidental contact inside the frame perimeter, if they would have been offered a match replay, I think they would have taken it. And that's also been like a huge thing on Chief this past couple of weeks. It also caters toward the third option of all of these teams who don't make it to the field in time and they get red carded. If the other alliance says, "Oh, red card, let's just replay the match," it gives the teams a chance to actually come on the field. And I think all of this, yeah, there's a lot of things that can be solved by just offering teams a replay when there's a red card involved in
Right.
finals or elims.
Real quick, Michael, let me ask you, because this is something I talked about on a previous segment. Is that, I mean, 3310 was called for G206, right, which is tipping over. And if you read the blue box now, they're called specifically for C, which is causing an opponent robot to tip over by contacting the robot after it starts to tip, if in the judgment of the referee, the contact should have been avoided. But then right underneath that, it says, tipping is an unintended consequence of normal robot-to-robot interaction, as perceived by the referee, is not a violation of G206. So my interpretation of this is that the referee made the judgment that the contact could have been avoided, and therefore a red card was resulted. Do you agree with this judgment, or how would you have perceived this?
Yeah. So I read disclaimer. I read John Schneider's posts on Chief, and same with Mike Rossetto's. And so, like, their intent was to spin out of the contact. I do not believe that they knew kryptonite was on their bumpers. Like,
Yeah,
you can only
exactly.
see the tops of your robot from behind the driver's station. So I don't even know that they knew that this could have been a problem. So that's why I do not think it should have been called. But from Kryptonite's point of view, if they're down on the field, they're going to lose the match. So, like, what do you do? So
Right.
it's a lose lose situation regardless. I do not think it should be called though. But yeah, I don't know what to do in place of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the visibility in the area is actually really bad because they're. I'm rewatching that portion of the match right now, and it's at the 93-second mark, left in the match, and they're in the dead center on the blue side of the field, and 3310 is in driver
Is in
station
two, so they
number.
literally
Yeah, they're in
cannot
number
see.
two. They can't. I mean, they can probably just see like the top of their shooter hood, and that's it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and
yeah,
noted
And
like
Kryptonite's
30.
small.
I would say
yeah,
Kryptonite's a relatively short robot, so they might not even be able to see Kryptonite at all.
But
right.
even if they couldn't see it, even if they could see it, and it was a direct sight line,
Right.
is that avoidable contact still? Because the way I interpret it is that 3310 is literally just trying to finish the goal where they were going on there.
Exactly.
It's not. I mean, it's not like they, in my opinion, like intentionally tipped this team over. Even if they could see, I don't know how you would avoid this.
Right.
Yeah, and even furthermore, so now with teams getting swerve modules and stuff, swerve modules freak out when the robot's like inverted and doing weird
Hmm.
things. Like, what if they did try and move? Like, like tank drive would have made things a lot easier as a
You
team
just
can go
don't know,
forward or
right?
backward, right?
Mm,
But with
yep.
swerve, yeah, who knows how to get out of that situation?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. All right, let's go ahead and jump into topic number two, and we're going to be looking at the district power rankings and kind of getting your thoughts on between Connor and Michael on what you guys thought. There has been a Chief Delphi thread started by Ryan Swanson from Minnesota, I believe, and he kind of noted, or he noted, wanted to get kind of a perception of what everybody thought about the individual districts and their power rankings amongst each other. So I believe that California is the one that is in number one, and then
Yep.
Michigan two and Texas in three to round up the top three. So Connor, we'll start with you. Do you think that's a relevant top three? And if you had to reorder them, how would you do it?
I think yeah, this is for sure. Like that top three is definitely. I think it's the right way. I I'm gonna. I'm really gonna be in the bad graces of you, Nick. I haven't watched a whole lot of Michigan events this year. To be fair, I haven't been able to watch a whole lot of events this year. But
27 is the best team in Michigan. That's all you need to know.
yes, that I do know for sure. Um, no, but like those top three are for sure. And if you scroll down a little bit, Tyler, Caleb Sykes has a summary listing of
Oh, I didn't
the
even notice that. That's
ELOs.
awesome.
Yeah, he's got a summary listing of the ELOs and like the top five teams based on ELO from each region. And it shows California, FIM, Texas, PNW, NE, Israel run for like the top six. I think this is this is yeah, I like this ranking list. Um, do I wish New England was a little higher? Yes, but this is a very good list. I like it.
Michael, what about
I
you?
hadn't I hadn't seen this list. This makes things very interesting. Um, I think that the three, California, Michigan, and Texas, that's correct in my mind. I do think though Michigan and Texas need to be need to be flipped, but and that's purely just because the usual powerhouses of Michigan aren't as strong as they traditionally are. Rush is usually in like in the lines of 33, 67, like 469, 217, but
Hmm.
the rest of those robots that I named other than Rush aren't doing super great, like as their normal dominance that they usually have.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, yeah, Michigan. Now, I will say though, the average, if we're talking power rankings for the top set of tiers, then I'd say flipped Texas and Michigan. But if we're talking like the average bot, then maybe Michigan has a slight advantage over Texas just because the average bot in Michigan seems to be a lot better than
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
average bot in some of the
Mhm.
other districts.
This is where I'm going to
Yep.
jump in and kind of note and how I did it at least. And I'm not doing it as biased, but I had Michigan number one, but I'll explain why. I think personally, and this is obviously due to the fact of how many teams Michigan has, but I think that the middle of the pack so I guess like California 254, 1678, they're better than any team in Michigan, at least right now. And I think that the top teams in Michigan, the top teams in Texas are relatively close. Like they're like 3310 might be better than 27, and 27 might be better than 6800 or something like that. And I think they're a pretty small error right there between them. But I think what happens is the middle of the pack I think is significantly, I wouldn't say significantly, I think the middle of the pack is better than the California and the Texas middle of the pack, and that's kind of how I
Hmm.
had Michigan
Mhm.
propulsed. And what we noticed too is like when there was the discussion between North and South champs about how like the top end of North champs might be slightly worse than the top end of South champs, but the like middle of the pack at North champs is like significantly better than the middle of the pack at South champs, and that's kind of how I did it. But
Yep.
Agreed.
all right, Tyler, anything to add, or are we gonna jump to the striker adding giveaway?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing real quick that I was trying to actually figure out where this lands versus like who votes on the FRC top 25 or who is active
Interesting.
more for us. And the only one I'll note is that FMA is quite low, and I would actually say FMA is probably one of our lowest represented regions that we get for the FRC top 25. So I when I was looking at this, I wouldn't have thought FMA was that low in regards to average elo and with the plus 50 and even average elo, that puts them up a little bit more on that. So I don't know. I don't have a direct correlation in any of this right now. A couple of these areas are a little bit higher than I was expecting, and a couple are a little bit lower. So, but
Right.
I think your top three, I mean, overall makes sense to me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, before we get into our next topic, we're actually going to bring Tyler back on to talk about our friends at Striker, and for those who are watching live, to start our giveaway from our friends at AnyMark.
Yeah, let's do the AnyMark giveaway first. So we are giving away from our friends at AnyMark a set of the 3/8 inch hex ID 7/8 inch OD sealed flange bearing. So a little bit more about these. You get 6 of them from anymark.com. It's back and it's more reliable than ever. Strong, durable bearing with a significantly thicker inner race, giving it a dynamic load rating of over 175 pounds. Think of what you can do with over 175 pounds. A low rating.
lot.
I don't know, but one of you three might be able to tell me. So if you are interested in winning, type dynamic in chat right now. Dynamic is the keyword. Type in chat. You do need to be following, and subs get extra luck. So good luck with that. And before we head to our third topic of tonight, we're gonna hear a quick word from our friends at Striker and a little bit more about the awesome culture that they have at their company.
I love working for Striker.
I'm genuinely excited to come to work every day.
The minute you walk through that door, you know you are part of something special.
We support each other and look out for each other.
I love Striker because we are like a family.
At Striker, I own my career.
There are so many different places Striker can take me in the next 5 years.
Noi crediamo che quello che facciamo è molto importante.
Together,
With our
Customers.
We are driven
To make
healthcare better.
Great people with a strong mission and values can accomplish great things together.
All right, thank you for that from Thank you from our friends at Striker for that. Jumping into topic 3, we're going to be looking at the triple traversal situation. We've seen a couple now. I believe it. Excuse me. I believe it happened in Texas a couple times. I know that 3310 did it. It also happened in Michigan with FridgeBot and another. Forgive me, the other teams. I just remember FridgeBot from the picture, but FridgeBot actually is one of the teams in Michigan that had it, but was unfortunately getting the cargo hanger penalties by shutting down a certain amount of cargo because they climbed early. So they actually ended up losing, even though they had a triple transversal. And I know 3310 did it in a qual match, and the place erupted. Tyler was able to get a video of it. We saw pictures of it. But do we really see that the triple train, now that we know it's possible, and there's the geometry out there, do we see the triple traversal being necessary to win a world championship? Michael, you're shaking your head no. We'll start with you.
Hard no. Yeah. Eighth seed pulled off the triple traversal against us, 1600, 148.
Oh, okay, so it happened again.
Yeah, it happened again. They pulled it off in quarterfinals. One, I believe it was. I do not think that it is. It's. I don't think it's going to happen, or it's going to happen, but I don't think it's necessary whatsoever. And the reasoning is if you, it's going to take like probably an extra 10 seconds for you to figure out the geometry and like the stress of a triple traversal. And the difference between high and traversal is only 5 points. So 10 seconds is very easy to get 5 points in cargo at the very end of the match, especially if you play your cards right and how you play the field. I will say a small amount of drive things that we've talked about with my drivers is like we clear the back end of the field first and leave the front end toward the end of the match. And so if you do that, you're going to be left with quite a bit of cargo at your side of the field, so that the last 30 seconds you can just clean up all that cargo on your side. And therefore, it's pretty much 1.5 cycles worth of cargo in order to make up those point differences for a triple traversal. And 1.5 cycles is definitely doable for a high-end team in the last 10 seconds for you to just then go in and do either a pull-up for the mid, which is what 6800 was executing in our elimination matches, or a mid to high, which is also pretty short amount of time. So that's my reasoning.
Yeah, for sure. New poll in chat if you get a chance to take a look at that. But yeah, Michael, I'm pretty much on the same thing with you. I don't think it's necessarily a hot take. I don't think 2 traversals is necessary either, to be honest with you. If you have a traversal and a high, like you were saying, I personally think you're not going to need it. But it's close. It's close. But I think
I don't know about that one, man.
No.
If you have a traversal and a high, and the high robot is 254, they're going to score enough. I don't know, man. I think that they'd be able to score enough. But that's my hot take. Connor, we'll go to you.
No, you're the triple traversal is definitely not necessary, but I think it's necessary for the 3 robots that will be on your championship playoff alliance to have 3 traversals there, so you can decide upon which one is going to be the scoring machine. We saw that at SVR with Poofs and Citrus, so like we got to see that second their second robot go do a traversal climb with like 30 to 45 seconds left, while Poofs and Citrus were able to ball out a little bit longer. Granted, they both have like sub 7 to 10 second climbs, so it's a lot easier for them to be able to do that. But in a lot of scenarios, like you're gonna want to, you need to be scoring to the last second in this game. Once you get to those playoffs, oh boy, is every ball going to matter.
Yeah, for sure. And I it's hard to say. I am still going to be on the train. A traversal and a high is going to get it done because you're going to have a high enough score. But we're also banking on, what you said. And then this, I guess we'll kind of shift into this a little bit too. But, are we realistically going to see the number 1 alliance being able to pick up a traversal as their 3rd pick?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so, right? But, I think if champs were split, we'd be having a different conversation personally.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So
I can agree with that, but I mean, if the number 1 seed at Houston this year cannot get a traversal for their 2nd pick or even their backup robot, you probably didn't scout correctly, or your division just got divisions got so lopsided that we just have like a heavy hitter division, and then there's like 1 or 2 that are just kind of over there.
Right, for sure. All right, before we wrap up, let's go ahead and bring Tyler back on to draw for that giveaway from Andy Mark.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Once again, dynamic was your keyword in order to win these awesome 3-inch hex bearings. So the winner of that is going to be... Hey, Samantha wins this time. You can actually win on this show. So congratulate that. Wow. How did her name get drawn?
That's definitely rigged.
Yeah, 2 shows in a row, her name gets drawn. Please, rigged emotes in chat. Lots of them, please, because we have clearly rigged it for Samantha to win. Wow, congratulations on that. And thanks a lot to Andy Mark for the awesome giveaway, by the way. Really do appreciate Andy Mark and all of our suppliers providing some great giveaways for our shows. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, as Tyler said, thank you to our friends from Andy Mark. Thank you to all of you for tuning in to FRC Roundup. Special thanks to all of those who clicked that follow button or stepped up to help fund with a Twitch subscription or donation. Your support really helps us continue to make great content. Don't forget you can watch FRC Roundup archived at youtube.com/updates now. I totally butchered that, but and watch live Mondays after FRC Recap during the competition season. Thank you to Michael again for coming on today. And on behalf of our producer Tyler, my co host Connor, and all of our fun correspondents, I'm Nick Jr., and thanks for watching, and good luck to all teams competing in Week 7. And if your season has officially come to an end, congrats on a great season. See you next week, same day, same time, where we take a look at what is going on each week on FRC Roundup. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to Striker Careers for their support in this video. Apply the skills you gained as a FIRST student or mentor and help change the world at Striker. Striker is the top career choice for many of those in FIRST because of their commitment to innovation and saving lives. Learn more about the incredible culture at Striker and view their thousands of positions available around the world at careers.stryker.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.